Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So we are finally back. It's been a minute since I've done a race. So we're diving into the last of the Race the World series, which is the final one, City and the Skur, which I think is the correct way to say it, but I'm not Scottish. Anyway, guys, nice to meet you. I'm Max. We are going racing this evening. If you don't know me, I am new to Cat B and I need your help, guys. Any help, any comments are severely appreciated. I've been working my way up as a cyclist. I've been trying to improve. So please keep an eye on things like my watts, my cadence and my heart rate. And I'll try and talk you through the race and give you some guidance on how I'm finding it. I'm obviously not going to do the whole race. This is the final race in the Race the World series for August. And I did the first 2 or 3 in Cat C and then I got bumped up to Cat B. I was actually quite looking forward to this one. I saw that it was 2 loops of the City and the Skur, and I thought, you know what, that looks like quite a lot of fun. And then once the race started, this section here, I see a big group, there's quite a lot of us. I then saw that the lead-in actually included one time up what I'm referring to as the harder side of the climb, and my heart sunk. Anyway, I'm going to give you guys some details on a little bit about me as a cyclist, because basically being new to Cat B, or reasonably new to Cat B, I'm just so impressed with how people just ride and disappear off into the distance. So you might notice at the moment my cadence is just over 100 RPM. I will add, I've had a few days off the bike, but I have been running out in the Alps. I got back from a Ultra Trail de Mont Blanc race yesterday evening that I ran on Tuesday. So whilst the legs feel okay, they have taken a little bit of a battering. I'm not even going to mention the fact I got a VO2 test tomorrow. So this race was always going to be a slightly, I was never in with a chance. Any race where there's some climbing, you know, if this had been the only climb, like there was, you know, you get the big group together, you get the peloton together, and this was the only climb, could I dig deep enough within myself to climb and stay with the peloton? I don't know, but I think the fact that there were effectively 5 climbs in this race meant that I was never going to be able to stay with the group, because the group is just climbing watts, I guess, just makes it really hard for someone that's not as capable to effectively, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, guys, hide. Because that's exactly what I try and do. You know, I try and make the most of being in a peloton and sitting in a group. This isn't an option on a climb as much. So this is what I found hard. So tips are appreciated, guys. Give me sessions. What sessions can I do to help build leg strength? What can I do to put me in a good position within Cat B? This is the help that I'm looking for, guys, because I'm new to it, and thus far all I've been doing is hitting some races, doing some zone 2 work and just enjoying riding my bike. I haven't done any structured actual training bike workouts. What kind of things can I do? Are we talking like 40-20s? I don't even know what a 40-20 is. I've never done one. I know what a 40-20 is, but I just haven't done one. So for stats on me today, guys, so I did the crit race last week in Cat B, and I finished that one with, I think, maybe like a 3.5 watts per kg average, but that was 22 minutes, right? This race is 28, 29 minutes, and I finished this with a 3.4 watts per kg average. So I think that's quite good. I think 7 or 8 extra minutes and to only drop 0.1 of a watt per kg average. Well, I thought that was, in terms of performance, quite good. And if you know, if you do decide to duck out now because this isn't your vibe, just skip to the very end and I show you my power curve. And I do get a 25 to a 28 minute basically power curve PB. So if you have been following along, you know, I do find it interesting that on a lot of my races, I am kind of always at a small portion of the race performing at what is effectively a power curve PB. Unfortunately, I can't give you too much kind of info or commentary on the race itself tonight, guys, because it was just a hammerfest 5 times up and down the same climb, or from both sides. So it's not like, it didn't feel like the group, you were in a group and the group could move together and you could react to things. It just felt like you had to climb each climb as hard as you could and make it to the top. So it's basically just getting your legs torn off, and then a little recovery, pop down to a roundabout, and sweep back up. The only thing I will say is I was so tired at the top of that first climb, and I thought I did quite well on that first climb, even though it kind of may not look that way considering my position in the race. But I was so tired after doing that first climb and doing this descent and coming back around, I forget to use my feather coming back over the top because I'm just exhausted, and all I'm trying to do is just hammer out the next climb, this climb, going back over. I'm just so tired I forget to use my feather. So what kind of workouts can I do, guys? Like, because what I'm finding is that I'm trying to work on strength, right? I'm trying to develop more leg strength. I'm trying to get my cadence lower, so try and be able to crank out slightly deeper watts. Deeper watts, is that a thing? Or just being able to put down higher watts at a slightly lower cadence, like leg strength, proper strength. One thing I will add is I've moved my saddle. So basically I haven't really had a bike fit. I am actually going to do a bike fit video in a few weeks, but haven't had a bike fit. And a lot of the ways I've set my bike up have just been, I guess, helpful / unhelpful comments from people on YouTube. I'm happy to try anything. So I've dropped my saddle down slightly, which I think has helped. That's really helped. But then I moved my saddle backwards slightly. And then what I was finding was that when I was riding, I was like creeping forward on my saddle to a really uncomfortable position, but I wanted to be further forward in the saddle, but it just didn't feel comfortable because obviously the position of the saddle. So I've now moved my saddle further forward, and I definitely find that has helped a little bit, and it helps me kind of crank down, but my quads are just in agony doing this stuff. It is incredibly hard. So we're going to dive into what is the second time up this incredibly tough climb, guys. As I said, I forgot to use my feather, so at least I get a chance to use it again coming back up this side. I mean, I personally, as a newer cyclist riding in Cat B, you know, I'm happy to leave the ego at the door. There is no ego here whatsoever. I do try and basically pick battles with the people that are surround me. I can only really race what's around me, or try to race what's around me. So I always try and kind of push to stay with people. I did find that maybe it is a bit of a fatigue thing, that my heart rate wasn't massively high this evening, but also if you kind of couple that up with the watts per kg I put into the race, then I feel like there is more to give. You know, maybe if with a few really good rest days, then I could give a little bit more. So although I do feel like things are heading in the right direction, I find, is this something that's normal? Like, I find it a little bit easier to cycle at higher watts in the little ring, and I don't know why that is. I don't know whether that's a trainer thing, like as in I use a taxed Neo T2. I don't know whether it's because that responds better to cycling in the little ring, but I do find it a little bit easier to put down slightly higher watts in the little ring. I'm running a 52-34, I think, chainsaw. So I don't know if that's something that anyone has any commentary on, but I definitely found this race incredibly hard and a little bit lonely and demoralizing, and that's the one thing as a new Cat B rider I am trying to avoid, which is kind of getting in my own head of like, oh, this isn't as much fun because I don't get to ride in groups. I think there are just going to be some races like this one where it's a lot of climbing, where I just have to suck it up and put my big boy pants on, and I'm happy to do it, guys. Also, just to say, you know, we are going to skip. We're going to skip to the final climb because you guys don't need to see me kind of slog it all out. So we're skipping to basically the last time we are coming up the Sker, because you guys don't need to watch me kind of like repeatedly come up and down. But I did find this a pretty altogether tough race, as I say, because being kind of mid/back of pack now, the B category just is a little bit demoralizing. I think that's some of the feedback I've had from people, which is it can be like slightly less fun, and I'm trying to kind of keep out of that mentality, and I understand it. I fully get it, because my goal is to improve, and it's not my only goal. Like my main goal is to enjoy cycling, but definitely I want to get better. So tips, advice on the types of sessions that I can be doing. But please bear in mind that I do like to race at least once a week and ideally twice a week, because I want to be able to get better and do effectively at least a race. And I like these. I do like the Race the World series because they are always between 20 to 30 minutes, which I think is such a good amount of time to do like what I like to refer to as a bit of a high intensity interval session. So at this point here, I've got my heart rate's at kind of 33, 34, and previously I think when I've raced, I've been able to get it higher up into the 70s and really work it a bit. So maybe there is a touch of fatigue kicking in and I am struggling a little bit. But my general feedback is my cadence is quite high and I struggle with a little bit of leg strength. And that's what I'm trying to work on at the moment in terms of mostly kind of gym work. But are there sessions like what that I can do on the bike? Like what is a big gear session? Like are there any particular Zwift workouts I can do that might be able to help that kind of thing? But from a personal standpoint, these two riders that I'm riding with now, I kind of took it upon myself, to effectively battle a little bit. I think these are like those subconscious battles where in actual fact, there is no battle between us, because I think we're all just trying to ride our bikes as hard as we can up a steep hill on a computer game. But I thought this is the nice thing about Zwift. It keeps you like able to keep pushing because theoretically you are racing against other people. My FTP, for those that don't know, I think it came out at 3:05. So 3:05 or I can't remember, guys. Honestly, it's been such a long day. But I was trying to ride a lot of the climbs up in kind of like 310, 320 watts where I could, and be consistent with it. And the consistent climbing and holding consistent watts is something that I am struggling with a little bit. But I don't know, I'm not like, this isn't to say I feel a bit lost, because I know that there is always that kind of like bum period where you leave the Cat C's and then you join the Cat B's and you're not quite in the Cat B's yet. And I knew this was just going to be like a really hard race. I kind of knew that from the get-go. I didn't know that we had to go up this 5 times. That was a little bit heartbreaking. I think 4 would have been plenty. But all the same, I slogged it out. I survived. Doing 28 minutes or whatever it ends up being, 29 minutes, is still a really hard effort. So I feel like I get a lot from these races. I'm more than happy to do them, and I do enjoy it. I still enjoy it, even especially a race like this. I weigh 77, well, basically 78 kg at the moment. I had a few days away in France eating bread and cheese. So climbing, I kind of feel in some senses, I'm not quite a climber, I'm not quite a sprinter, not quite a climber, and not quite a kind of big power flat guy. I'm kind of that in between. But I do kind of pride myself on like enjoying the climbs, like enjoying the suffering on them a little bit. So let's have a quick look. That's it, guys. Unfortunately, it's not the most exciting race in the world, but from a personal development point of view, you can kind of see from 25 minutes that I am touching, the PR and the power curve, which I think these are all completely kind of, they're all good. All the signs are pointing forward, guys. So hopefully I'll see you for a race next month, and I am very much looking forward to it.